I'm responding to people who are curious to know about my family member who was on the Titanic. He was the cousin of my mother's grandfather, and his name was Edward Beane. He's on this second-class list here. There he is with his wife Ethel. They were on their honeymoon, and you can see all the women have survived, but the men have not. He was the only man in second class on this list anyway. So that's him, and that's his wife Ethel. They were from Norwich, and I've written about it on a blog before, so this is where I have the information stored. So yeah, Ethel was put onto lifeboat 13, and the reason that Edward survived is he jumped into the water and swam to the lifeboat, which was only half full. They had loads of wedding gifts, and they had to leave everything behind, of course. Linen, embroidery, jewels, money. And they already had a sense of foreboding because the Titanic narrowly avoided a collision already in the Southampton harbour. The crew used rifles to keep all the men back until the women and children could be put in the lifeboat. One man was shot for trying to break through. As Edward himself said, a man never knows what he'll do in an emergency or what tricks his nerves will play on him. Edward stood back obediently with the other men at the crew's insistence of no, only women. But he noticed that as Ethel's boat pulled off, it was only half full, so he jumped into the sea and swam after the boat. And as he said, eventually it was Ethel's arms that pulled him in. There were 12 other couples honeymooning on the Titanic, and they were the only couple not to be separated for all time by the disaster. So yeah, the ship finally went down when they were about a mile distant, the band still playing, and as the boat crashed in its final sinking, they heard the anguished cries of those still on board, as if one huge human wail, and it was years before Ethel could forget that terrible scream. Edward and Ethel's amazing story of their Titanic experience is relevant because it represents only a small percentage of Titanic survivors who are not separated by the disaster. And it seems Ethel got pregnant on the Titanic, but the baby was stillborn.